Disney's Tangled has Rapunzel as a sassy, frying pan wielding superhero, but the traditional Grimm's fairy tale? Well, let's just see. Scandal? Betrayal? Desert wastelands? Yes, yes, and yes. All of this and so much more. Let's hop back in time to the beginning of Once Upon a Time. Tangled versus Grimm's Rapunzel. Tangled's dark roots. Real quick, the version of the tale I'm basing this video off of is from a compilation of Grimm's stories. There are different versions, but I was just really plumb upset by its telling that I used it in particular, and it was already on my bookshelf. I know most stories don't hold up anymore, thank goodness, and are relics from their time. They make me really appreciate the modern retellings and reworkings, as things really do get grim. Anyway, let's dive in, shall we? A bargain. A life spared, a life taken. In both Tangled and in Grimm's story, our tale begins with a flower that belongs to an enchantress. In the movie, the queen is on the verge of death and needs a drop made from an elusive flower, which unfortunately is also coveted by the enchantress Gothel, although she did find it first. In the Grimm telling, Rapunzel is no princess, but rather born to a couple who has been trying for years to have a child. They just so happen to live next to an enchantress's garden. Oops, rewind. One day, before the baby is even a blip, the depressed and hopeless wife is staring into that garden and spies the rampion, also known as Rapunzel, wink wink. Gothel has been growing beyond the wall. She's suddenly hit with such a strong craving for it that she begs her husband to collect her some, and he cautiously does because he just loves his wife so much. The wife makes a salad out of the flower, enjoys it, and then is overcome with another craving so much more intense that her husband goes yet again to fetch her some. On this second foray into the garden, however, he is not so lucky. Gothel the enchantress catches him stealing her Rapunzel flower and offers him an ultimatum. The flower in exchange for their unknown as yet and unborn child. He agrees out of the desire to give his wife the flowers she craves, even though they have been desperate for this child for years. How cruel! The kicker, he never tells his wife, who was yearning for this kid, that he bargained it away. So imagine, your dream kid is now finally in your arms. You're exhausted from bringing it into the world, and then an enchantress shows up and snatches it away. Forever. Talk about communication issues. Sure hope that salad was worth it. Oh, and to add insult to injury, the enchantress names the kid after the flower you traded her for. Sick burn, Gothel. Way too young. Love. In the movie, Rapunzel has been locked in the tower her whole life, just one day shy of 18 years. Very nearly legally an adult, assuming fairy laws operate like modern laws, and soon free to do as she will, even if Gothel is right about her not being world-wise. In Grimm's story, Gothel raises Rapunzel like a normal child until she's 12 years old, at which point she tucks the near-teenage Rapunzel away in a tower deep in the forest with no stairs or ladder, likely to keep all those pesky hormones away. Rapunzel is naive and trusting. She's 12 years old, after all. After 1 or 2 years of being locked away in the tower, when Rapunzel is either 13 or 14, a young son of the king is riding through the woods and hears her singing. He's entranced, but because he sees no obvious way up into the tower, King's son simply returns every day and falls more and more in love with the voice. Kind of a red flag? One day he sees Gothel ask Rapunzel to lower her hair. Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down thy hair to me. Son of a king sees how easy it is to climb up the tower and tries the same line later at night, avoiding the enchantress who visits during the day. Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down thy hair to me, he calls. And even though Rapunzel has no idea who this dude is, she does it. Did she think Gothel had developed a cold or something? It's also night. Gothel only visits in the daytime. Anyway, she lets him climb up her hair and into her tower. When she sees him, she is terrified. She has never seen a man like this before, and Son of the King corners her in her tower, where she is alone and has nowhere to escape to. He seriously invades her personal space. Red flag. Declares how he has fallen in love with her voice. Red flag. Was forced to see her. Red flag. And will she marry him? Red flag. Ew. She is 13. She is terrified. But for some reason, she agrees, thinking, he is young and handsome and will love me better than Gothel. What the heck? Girlfriend, you are 13 and you just saw this man and you were terrified of him 2 minutes ago. These are all red flags. Maybe she didn't have a choice though. Anyway, thankfully, Tangled's Rapunzel is quick to use a frying pan. She's extremely suspicious of this newcomer, holds him hostage, interrogates him, and is immune to his smolder. Good on you, lady. Back in the dark timeline, they place their hands in each other's, which means I think that they perform their own marriage ceremony, or, you know. Well, the marriage part is most likely an addition by some moral authority or another, as you will see. Rapunzel won't go away with the prince right away, saying she doesn't know how to descend the tower. She could really take a lesson from Tangled's Rapunzel, you know, use what she's got. Instead, she asks the king's son to bring her a skein of silk each time he visits her, so that she can weave a ladder to descend. Why not just ask him to bring her a whole rope? Why expensive silk? Is she actually taking him for a ride, spreading out the time she needs to marry this dude for real? I wish. Buckle up because this tale gets real in one fell swoop. Gruesome consequences. Sad survivalism. Son of the king and Rapunzel keep their meeting secret until, one day, Rapunzel blithely comments to Gothel how much heavier she is to lift up than that man. Note, in an earlier version of this Grimm's tale, Rapunzel instead asks, why her waistband is getting tighter? We'll cover that one shortly. Poor Gothel, who only really wanted to keep Rapunzel safe from the wiles of the world, has been stymied by her own daughter. Well, and that rascal prince, too. Yeah, communication could have solved everything. In furious, sad anger, Gothel hacks off Rapunzel's braids with much fanfare and then drops Rapunzel up into a desert, where she had to live in great grief and misery. Gothel fast travels back to the tower in time for the evening rendezvous with the king's son, and when he asks Rapunzel to let her hair down, Gothel uses the cut tresses to make the ladder for him. When Sunny gets to the top, the enchantress is up there, mocking him. Thou wouldst fetch thy dearest, but the beautiful bird sits no longer singing in the nest. The cat has got it and will scratch out thy eyes as well. In despair, the prince leaps off the tower and into a briar patch, which gouges out his eyes, leaving him blind. He forever roams the forest in wretchedness, eating only berries and roots and crying about the loss of his wife. As luck would have it, or fairy tales anyway, go figure, he eventually stumbles across someone singing in the desert. Surprise! It's Rapunzel, living in squalor with his 2 children, a boy and a girl. So, to recap, a 13-year-old Rapunzel had this stranger's twins, but had to birth them all alone in the desert and raise them all alone in the desert. It's a miracle she didn't die in labor, honestly. But then when she sees this king's son, the man responsible for this whole situation, stumble blindly upon her hovel, she cries tears of joy that cure his sight. He is so happy that the newly reunited family of 4 moved back to his kingdom, where they are joyfully received. Like nothing ever happened. Happily ever freaking after. Entangled, Rapunzel's tears of sorrow do restore Flynn to life, imbued as they are with the last of the flower's magic. And also like in Grimm's story, a family of 4 is eventually reunited. The king, queen, daughter Rapunzel, and her new beau Eugene. Similar, but way different and way less creepy. Truth be told, I'm way more into the Disney telling of this tale. It transformed a problematic story into something that works in today's world. But unpopular opinion? In both Grimm's Tale and Entangled, I'm Team Gothel all the way. Poor Enchantress is just living her best life for centuries, minding her own business, and gets her prize flower stolen by pesky humans. In Grimm's version, and it's hard to tell this because fairy tales don't out and say motives or emotions, I get the sense that Gothel deeply cares for her daughter and is just trying to protect Rapunzel. Yeah, she could have just told Rapunzel what to be aware of in the world instead of locking her away in an impossible tower to rot away from boredom, but communication is never a strong suit in fairy tales. I'd mama bear out and go ham too if I were her. Entangled, vain Gothel loves herself first and foremost, but I do think she also loves Rapunzel. Is it a healthy love? An open, safe, and trusting love? Heck no, it starts out with a grudge because her beauty potion was stolen. She keeps Rapunzel locked up to keep her new flower a secret, but still tells the truth. The world is a dangerous place, and yeah, Rapunzel is very innocent and naive and unaware of the outside world, because she's been locked up in a tower. Sure, Gothel's motives were selfish, but she at least knows how to communicate. The movie takes great pains with Gothel's dialogue to make the viewer feel like she doesn't actually love Rapunzel as a daughter, but loves her hair more than life itself. I see a strong, competent, beautiful young lady. Oh look, you're here too. But I genuinely feel hurt that Gothel overhears Rapunzel saying that she is so glad she left that tower. And if Gothel didn't love Rapunzel on some level, her snapping around 94 minutes in, okay, so I'll be the bad guy, wouldn't be as meaningful. Before then, she wanted to both protect her hair, of course, and her daughter's heart to some extent. Gothel has a dramatic ending Entangled, aging older than dust and tripping out of the tower window and splatting on the ground below. This is more graphic than in the Grimm's tale where, after banishing Rapunzel and cutting loose the prince, she kinda just keeps on keeping on. Probably because she has so many other fairy tales to appear in. Anyway, thanks for adventuring with me into the darker origin story of Tangled and Rapunzel. This kind of stuff has always been fascinating to me, and I hope you enjoyed the tale. But what are some of your favorite old tales? Favorite reworking? Please share in the comments below. Always looking for a good read. Thank you for sticking with me to the end of the video. I'm most likely working on the next adventure, so I'll have something for you soon. If you're new here, welcome! If you like what you found, please subscribe and bell ding and leave a comment saying hello. Okay, see y'all soon. Goodbye!